My beloved child, the time has come when I can no longer remain silent. When the heavens stir and the whispers of the soul echo toward the throne of glory, it is also the moment that I, the commander of the heavenly hosts, must draw near to you personally, not in wrath, nor because you have erred, but because you are approaching the threshold between the seen and the unseen. A spiritual door is opening, and you have been appointed to step through it, not because you are stronger than others, but because in your weakness, I see the potential for rebirth. My child, there are things unfolding that the natural eye cannot perceive. Heaven is moving with urgency. Every one of your prayers has been recorded. Every tear gathered like incense before me. I have heard, I have watched, and now I speak. You did not come into this world by chance. Before your form was even shaped in the womb, you were appointed for a purpose far beyond what the intellect can grasp. Every gust of wind that brushes past you, every trembling within your soul, is a signal that a season of transition is upon you. This is not merely personal change, it is a turning point of destiny. And you, though you may feel small in a world so shaken, are the very one heaven has chosen to carry light into the shadows. Do not be surprised that your soul has become more sensitive, that your dreams have grown vivid, as if they were calls from another realm. Do not dismiss the unease you cannot explain. It is not psychological disorder nor bodily fatigue. It is your spirit receiving signals from the invisible. A bell rings deep within the universe, and you are among those awakened by its tone. Every joy and every sorrow in your life has been divinely arranged to forge in you a heart that discerns, a soul that obeys, and a will that does not yield to darkness. You may not realize it, but in every decision, every response, you are being trained. Like David, passed over for his unimpressive appearance, but chosen to be king. You too are being prepared in silence for a moment of destiny. The world will not understand how someone like you can carry such a powerful word, but I know. I have seen the moments when you wrestled in silence unseen, misunderstood by all but me. When you felt you had nothing left to give, that was the moment I poured into you treasures no one can steal. Child, understand this. What I am doing in you is greater than what is visible. It is not an outward miracle, but a root-deep transformation. I do not only want to bless you, I want to make you a vessel of blessing. I do not merely wish to rescue you. I intend to use you to rescue others. This is not an empty promise, but a sacred commission. When I called Abraham from his father's house, he did not know the destination, but he knew the one who called. You also do not need to know the whole journey, only to trust the one who leads. You will find that the things which once held center stage in your life will begin to shift. Relationships may fracture. Doors once thought forever open may suddenly close. Do not fear, I am pruning to shape you. Do not mourn what departs, for I know what must remain. Like a potter reshaping clay, I am crushing what no longer fits to form a new vessel that can hold the oil of glory. Each time you feel empty, know it is, so I may fill you anew. Each stripping away is to clothe you in something fresher and nobler. My child, not everyone will understand your journey. There will be mockery. There will be doubt. But do not let those voices drown out mine. The ones I send are often misunderstood. Prophets are rarely honored in their own land. But I did not choose you for applause. I chose you for fruit. As you walk in obedience, even if alone, You walk accompanied by unseen heavenly armies. My presence will be your shade by day and your fire by night. Stand firm, for what you are about to enter will transform not only your life, but entire spiritual territories waiting for healing through you. A time will come when familiar doors shut, and you will stand before an uncertain threshold, your heart torn between what is known and what remains unrevealed. It is at that very point your faith will be tested not through sermons or songs, but through long silences and the quiet weight of uncertainty, when there is no clear word, no outward confirmation. You will learn that faithfulness is not measured by favorable conditions, but by steadfastness in the shadows. In that placeboid of reassurance, devoid of light, faith matures, and courage is proven. Beloved child, the first steps into your season of transition will not be marked by fireworks or cheering crowds. Rather, they will feel like repetitive days where you must learn to be faithful in the smallest things. The greatness of a soul is not built on mountaintops, but in the humility of hidden places. There, where no one applauds, where no one even knows your name. I am planting eternal seeds in your heart. Do not let the quiet cause you to doubt your worth, for in that stillness, I am building an unshakable foundation. Do you know? When I used Joseph to save an entire nation, I did not place him on the throne immediately. Before he wore royal robes, he wore the garments of a prisoner. Before he was lifted up, he endured misunderstanding, betrayal, and being forgotten. But not one moment of that journey was wasted. Every wound was part of the plan. Every rejection was woven into heaven's arrangement. If you feel you are being pushed into darkness, remember, the seed must be buried before it can grow. You are not being hidden. You are being planted. Cling to the word, even if it is only a single word, for that word is life itself. When the storm of doubt rages through your mind, let that word anchor your soul. You do not live by feelings, but by truth. Emotions may shift like the tides, but the truth of the Eternal One never changes. When you feel unable to see me, you can still walk if my word remains in your heart. That is the walk of faith, not of sight. My child, do not panic when all seems chaotic. Chaos is not always failure. It may be the necessary shaking to move you out of a comfort zone and elevate you to higher ground. I do not work on man's timeline, but my timing is always perfect. If I delay, it is not because I've forgotten, but because the right moment has not yet arrived. Like a baker who waits for the bread to be fully risen, I will not pull you from the fire until you are ready. For undercooked bread crumbles when exposed to light. You will hear many voices in this season. Some will be echoes from the past, tempting you to return to what I told you to leave. Others will sound sweet, but hide snares of compromise. But there will also be the gentle whisper of the Holy Spirit, not forceful, not loud, but unmistakable to the soul that listens. Train your spiritual ears to discern the true voice among the many false ones. Discernment will be a vital weapon in this season. I know obedience will not always be easy. There will be moments when you are called to walk without a map. But remember, faith does not require the full plan. It only requires the next step. Every step you take in obedience unlocks doors you've never seen. Do not wait for perfection to act. Blessing often hides in obedience, not in full understanding. You may have been hurt by those you trusted. Your heart may have been torn by betrayal and careless words. But do not let those wounds strangle your capacity to love. Your wounds do not define you. Only the hands of the healer have that right. I do not merely patch up the broken, I restore what was destroyed. I do not mend your soul, I recreate it with the power of resurrection itself. Just as Peter, after his failure, was not restored to return to where he was, but to lead a generation, so too. You are being repositioned after your disappointments. No failure in your life is final when placed in my hands. Even what you are most ashamed of, if surrendered to me, will become a mighty tool in my hand. What once made you fall will now be the very thing that helps others rise. Let me use both your darkness and your light to tell the story of your redemption. When you look back on your journey, you may see unexpected turns, doors that slammed shut without warning, and dark valleys that seem to have no way out. But do not judge those paths through human eyes. For what seems like failure is often my protection. What feels like loss may actually be my way of removing what no longer belongs to you. Just as the Israelites wandered through the wilderness not because I had forgotten the path, but because, in that very journey, their hearts were revealed and their faith was forged. Understand this: delay does not mean denial. There are things you have wept for in prayer, thinking I was silent. But sometimes, silence is the deepest word I speak. I am not silent out of indifference, but because I am working at a depth unseen by the human eye. When a potter shapes a vessel, he does not always speak, but his hands are constantly forming. Likewise, when you feel empty, know that I am reshaping you, not to satisfy human expectations, but to prepare you to carry something far greater. My presence is not always revealed through overt miracles or outward shaking. Sometimes I come as a gentle whisper, just as I did with Elijah when he hid in the cave. It was not in the earthquake or the fire, but in the still, small voice that he stepped out and embraced his new calling. You too must not wait for loud signs to recognize me. I may be nearer than you think in the quietest breath. In the wordless touch, only your soul can sense. My child, you are being called to step out of your comfort zone, not because I wish to unsettle you, but because the promised land is never found within the bounds of ease. Abraham had to leave the homeland he cherished to go to a place he had never known. But in that obedience, he became the father of many nations. Likewise, you were not made to remain in old molds. The boundaries you've known will be shaken to make room for a new vision. Prepare your heart to receive what surpasses your current understanding. Growth does not come when everything is easy. It comes when roots are pushed deep into hard soil, when they must break through stone to find water. Your soul is the same, it only matures when it learns to draw life from the true source, from people, not from circumstances, but from me. When all external sources run dry, that is your moment to discover the living spring in me that never runs out. You will no longer live by others' approval, but by the breath that comes from heaven itself. You may have seen yourself as weak, fragile, and too tired to endure more. But let me reveal this truth. Real strength is not in never falling, but in rising each time with deeper faith. I have not called you to live unblemished, but to encounter grace in your weakest places. As Paul once said, "When I am weak, then I am strong. For it is in your breaking that my light shines brightest." You are not a victim of circumstance. You are one appointed to walk in divine purpose. Each day you live is not a string of random events, but part of a design woven from before time began. I do not only see your beginning, I have seen your end. And every step between holds meaning. Do not compare your progress to others, for I do not use the same mold twice. Every soul is a unique symphony I am composing, and you are a note essential to the greater melody. Change is not always gentle. At times, it will pull you from what you hold most dear. But I never remove something without the intention of giving something better, even if you cannot see it yet. Just as Jonah had to be in the belly of the fish to realign his path, sometimes I must place you in unexpected conditions to bring you back to your divine course. Disruption is not punishment. It is a recalibration to my original purpose for you. And when the storm is past, when the dust has settled, you will look back and see my hand in every step, whether in joy or in fear. You will understand that not one tear you cried was wasted. I have kept them all, like precious gems. And those very tears will be the living testimony that says, I was there. I never left you. There will be moments when it feels as if everything you once understood is turning upside down. What once felt solid suddenly seems fragile. The patterns you used to define yourself, to make sense of the world, will one by one begin to tremble. This is not a sign you are lost. It is proof you are drawing closer to the unshakable truth. That truth does not shift with feelings, does not sway with circumstance, and is not contingent on human approval. It is engraved in the heart of the one who never changes. My child, it is in the most turbulent moments that you are invited to choose trust, not blind trust, but a conscious act in which your soul admits the limits of its own understanding and places hope in one whose wisdom surpasses all knowledge. Like Noah building an ark before a single drop of rain, you are called to act on what you have not yet seen, not because the evidence is clear, but because the word has been given. Obedience does not wait for perfect conditions. It only requires a heart willing to believe that the word outweighs the visible. You may have heard that faith is the bridge across the chasm of doubt, but in truth, faith is not merely a bridge, it is the journey itself. On this journey, there will be times you feel you are walking in thin air, with no solid ground. Yet it is precisely in these moments that you will discover the invisible arms that hold you more firmly than the earth ever could. Every step in faith is a surrender of the self's need to control, and a yielding to the one who sees from beginning to end. There may be times you feel as if you are sinking, like Peter when he stepped out of the boat to walk on water. He began with faith, but when his eyes shifted from Jesus to the wind and waves, fear took over. You too will face moments when your gaze is pulled by the force of trials. But remember, even when Peter began to sink, Jesus immediately reached out his hand to save him. He did not rebuke before he rescued. He rescued first, then taught. That is the heart of God. You do not need perfect faith to deserve help. You only need humility to call out, and my arm is never too short to save. On this journey, there will be gray days when no light seems to break through the clouds. But even in those days, your heart will be trained to discern what is fleeting emotion and what is eternal truth. Emotion says, it's over. Truth says, God's plan is still unfolding. Emotion screams, you've been abandoned. But truth whispers, I am here. In the storm, emotions change, but my presence remains. Do not seek validation in what can be shaken. When seas are calm, anyone can say they believe. But when the boat is tilted by the wind, only those who cling to the word remain standing. You are called to live like one who builds a house on rock, not the rock of your own understanding, but the rock of the unchanging word. Though the winds blow and the rains pour, that house will not fall, not because the builder is strong, but because the foundation is immovable. My child, faith is not a decoration reserved for convenient times. It is the only lifeline when everything else fades away. And sometimes, I allow what you lean on to be stripped away, so that you may learn to hold tightly to what can never be lost. You will learn this, if you still have me. Then you lack nothing. And when you look back, you'll realize it was in the driest land that your faith grew its deepest roots. It was in what seemed hopeless that you learned a hope not based on sight, but born from life in the Spirit. You will no longer live by shifting emotions, but by truth etched by the very hand of God. And in that process, you will not just survive, you will be transformed. I know, when the winds shift without warning, many hearts panic. But for you, this is the moment to stand firm. The upheaval you witness is not heaven's failure, is the beginning of a holy reformation. I am not calling you to see with your natural eyes, but with eyes of spiritual clarity. For where the physical eye sees chaos, the soul's eye sees purpose taking shape. You are not abandoned in the dark, you are being prepared. Trained to see through the fog of this world and walk by the certainty of faith. There are seasons when the silence stretches long, unsettling the heart. But I am not idle. I am working in depths beyond your perception. Like a seed buried in the earth, silent and unseen, a profound transformation is underway beneath the surface. You cannot see it. But that does not mean nothing is happening. True faith is born in the waiting. When you hear no word, feel no presence, see no change, this is when you are being taught to trust in the heart of the one who never changes, more than in the fragility of your own feelings. When Elijah no longer heard the wind, the earthquake, or the fire, he met me in the gentle whisper, and in that silence, he was realigned. You too must not underestimate the moments of stillness. In the quiet, I am clearing away the old, restructuring your soul to prepare for the spiritual outpouring ahead. What I am about to do will not be built on old foundations, so the tearing down is necessary. In that time, your task is not to understand everything, but to be still and know that I am God. Sometimes you feel like the potter, questioning the unfinished vessel before you. But in truth, you are the clay in the hands of the master potter. The pressures you feel are not random, they are shaping forces, molding you into a vessel worthy to carry the glory I will pour in. No vessel is formed without pressure. No character is proven without trial. And no calling is fulfilled without refinement. You may wonder why things seem so unclear now, but the wisdom of God does not follow human logic. When Abraham was told to offer Isaac, it defied the promise, but in that paradoxical obedience, his faith was proven, and miraculous provision was revealed. Likewise, there are times I ask you to walk in the dark not because I hide myself, but because I want you to trust my nature more than my gifts. When you obey without seeing the reward, when you continue without knowing the way, that is when your heart becomes steadfast as stone. Remember this, my silence is never absence. It is in that silence that I am filling your cup with oil, repairing what has been fractured, transforming you from within to stand firm for what is to come. You are not called to wait passively, but to prepare actively. Do not waste the quiet season in complaint. Use it to cleanse your heart and mind, to stir the flame of faith. For when the shift comes, it will come swiftly and suddenly, and only those who are ready will step into the timing of transition. Do not be surprised when familiar people step back, when open doors close, and old dreams lose their appeal. This is not loss, it is repositioning. You are being moved out of the old safe place to embrace new territory, and the new cannot coexist with the old. Separation may not be pleasant, but it is essential. If you are not uprooted, you cannot be replanted in the right place. Step by step, day by day, you are being trained into a warrior unshaken by circumstance, unmoved by emotion, and unbought by convenience. When the season of transition ends, you will not be the same. Wounds will be healed. Inner walls will fall. And your knowledge of me will no longer be second-hand but a living encounter. From that place, you will rise as one who has met heaven in the midst of trial, carrying the fragrance of glory. Do not retreat. Do not fear the silence. Do not question the worth of days without visible results. You are being inscribed into a new chapter of divine history, a chapter where only those faithful in the dark will be named when the light comes. Keep walking. Heaven records your every step, and the breaking of the waters is nearer than you think. There are moments in life when your soul is caught between two movements, sown, familiar, but fading. The other new but not yet visible. In that in-between space, your heart may tremble, but that is not weakness. It is proof that you are in the process of transformation. When Moses stood before the Red Sea, with Pharaoh's army behind and the sea ahead, he had no choice but to trust what God would do. He did not see the path through the water he walked because he believed the one who brought him there would not abandon him. And so with you, you do not need to see the whole path, only to know you are never alone. Many times you longed for God to give you a clear plan, but instead, I led you on a journey of obedience step by step. I did not hand you a map, but I gave you a promise, and you were invited to live by that promise, not by comfort. Just as the Israelites were sustained daily with manna in the wilderness, you too will be given enough for each step, each trial, each situation, not in excess, yet never lacking. I am never late. I am always on time, but my timing is not aligned with the clocks of this world. Learn to walk, not by sight, but by the knowledge that I am faithful. You may be in a season where everything around you seems delayed. Doors remain shut, prayers unanswered, dreams unfinished. But do not mistake delay for denial. In the kingdom of heaven, every pause carries purpose. It might be the time when I am aligning your heartbeat with mine. Because if you step into something too great too soon, before your soul is shaped deeply, enough blessing can become a burden. Some gifts only unlock when the recipient is mature enough not to be undone by them. Time is the tool I use to teach you patience, humility, and trust. And when you let time refine you instead of making you bitter, you will begin to see spiritual fruit growing quietly within. That is peace no longer dependent on circumstances. That is faith unshaken by storms. That is the ability to wait without complaint, to walk without needing applause, and to love without needing return. These quiet things are the true foundations of a life filled with power. In your season of waiting, I may not change your circumstances, but I am most certainly changing you within them. Like Joseph in the prison of Egypt, forgotten, betrayed, unable to see the road ahead, he kept his heart pure. So when the day came to stand before Pharaoh, He did not carry bitterness, but wisdom. In the same way, I am preparing you not merely to arrive at your destiny, but to stand strong when you get there, free from the wounds of your journey. Do not let silence close your heart. Do not let whispered lies cause you to doubt my love. And do not let delay make you choose the easier but wrong path. Every road that seems shorter is not always the right one. Sometimes, the longer road is the most secure, leading you to the right place, at the right time, with the right capacity to carry the mission. If you are in a time when everything feels unclear, know this: you are in the hands of one who never loses his way. I do not need you to understand everything to take action. I only ask that you continue to believe. Every time you choose to trust, you defeat a scheme of darkness. Every time you obey, heaven expands within you. And every time you persevere without seeing change, your roots go deeper into endurance, which is more valuable than any surface-level miracle. Some lessons are only learned in the hidden days when no one sees, no one applauds, no one understands. But I see. I record every tear, every silent decision, every quiet step you take in obedience. And when my appointed time arrives, the door will open in a way no one can shut. Not because you strived harder than others, but because you were forged in fire and found faithful. Stand firm. Even if today is just a small step, it carries eternal weight if it's aligned with my plan. Don't measure your life by what you see. Look through the lens of obedience, where every step taken in darkness is preparing for light to burst forth. And believe this: I never begin something I do not intend to finish. There are moments in the spiritual life when every sound seems to disappear, and you feel left in a silent wilderness. You pray, but hear no reply. You seek, but see no trace of the one who once walked ahead of you. In those moments, silence is not absence. It is my invitation to a deeper layer of faith where presence is no longer confirmed by feelings, but by absolute trust. This is silence not meant to reject, but to refine. For only in the absence of words do you learn how to hear my voice from the heart. True faith is not born in sweet seasons of harvest, but in the darkness where you have nothing left to lean on but a promise. When Abraham was called to leave his homeland for a place he had never known, he did not demand evidence. He listened and went, "That is what I am seeking in you." Not someone who has all the answers, but a soul that says, yes, even when the way is not clear. Not those who believe because they see, but those who believe and then see. If today you feel like you are sealed in a room without doors, remember that Jonah, too, was swallowed into the belly of a great fish. In that dark, enclosed, seemingly hopeless space, he prayed, and from the depths, the Lord heard. I do not need favorable conditions to act. I need a surrendered heart. Darkness does not limit my power, and silence cannot stop my love. Never evaluate God's plan based on what your eyes can see. For it was in prison that Joseph was shaped into a leader. It was in the wilderness that Moses was prepared to deliver a nation. You may be in that very process now. A process without spotlight, without applause only, sacred whispers in your soul that only you and I know. But that is where I reach you most deeply. That is where I strip away the layers of dependence on people, achievements, emotions, and give you a new identity that cannot be shaken, chosen, refined, and sent. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will walk the full road with you. But I have never left you, and I will take you further than anyone else ever could. Remember, divine purpose is never rushed. I am not in a hurry. I am patiently shaping you, because what I am preparing for you has eternal worth. If you are waiting longer than others, it may be because I am laying a deeper foundation. A tall building needs strong footing. An ancient tree needs roots deep in the earth. And a soul-bearing spiritual weight must be resilient, untouched by glory or the praises of men. My child, let go of comparison. Don't look around and wonder why others seem to be advancing faster, achieving more, or receiving more attention. What I am doing in each life is unique. Your mission is different. Your journey is different. And so is the way I prepare you. Comparison only breeds envy and blinds you to the miracle unfolding within you. Focus on my whisper to you alone, and let that voice guide your every step. You do not need noise to be validated. You do not need applause to know you have worth. You only need one thing, to be known by me and to find your satisfaction in that. When you learn to live hidden from the world but seen fully by God, that is when you are truly mature. Not everything that shines is anointed. Often, it is in the quiet that I do my deepest work, and when the time comes, the door will open and no one can shut it. But the most precious thing will not be the open door. It will be the person you have become in the waiting. Not fame, but character. Not position, but presence. Not what you do, but what you are now able to carry from heaven to earth. You will be a living testimony of my unshakable power in a fragile world. As you enter seasons of silence and hiddenness, your heart may begin to raise questions that seem harmless, but can quietly threaten the foundation of your faith. Is God still there? Why do all doors seem closed? Have I done something wrong? These questions are not sin, but they can become entryways to doubt if you don't bring them to my feet. The danger is not in the asking, but in letting the questions simmer unanswered, then drawing a hasty conclusion that God has turned away. The truth is, I am still here, still watching, still intervening quietly, still waiting for your heart to learn a deeper lesson through temporary silence. Here's a truth not everyone understands. I don't measure love by the clarity of my actions. I measure by purpose. When everything seems to stall, I am building an unseen depth inside you. Like a potter silently spinning clay, I am shaping you wordlessly, soundlessly. Do not mistake quiet for rejection. Do not let the passing of time without signs cause you to question your value. You are not measured by progress, but by the trust you hold when you see nothing at all. Remember Job, a righteous man stripped of everything he had. When loss came like a storm, his friends accused him. His wife urged him to curse God, and he had nothing left but a solitary faith. Yet in that desolation, a song of praise arose. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Job chose to believe not because he saw miracles, but because he knew the one he served transcended circumstances, and that posture opened a new, glorious chapter in his life. That is my invitation to you now, to choose belief. Even when logic cries that there's no reason to hope, sometimes what I am doing in you is more important than what I do through you. We often rush to be productive, to have influence, to see results, to prove faith with outcomes. But there is a kind of fruitfulness that surpasses all ministries and campaigns, becoming a person who reflects the image of God. And that only comes when you let me transform you from within, when you surrender in silence, when you choose obedience without applause, when you stand firm with no audience. In that silence, I will teach you how to walk by true faith, no longer leaning on emotion, no longer chasing inspiration, but moving steadily with my wisdom. You will learn to discern subtle signals, a whisper from Scripture, a tear in prayer, a bird crossing the sky like a message from the invisible. You will know I never stop speaking. I am only teaching you to hear on a new frequency, the frequency of maturity. On this journey, there will also be moments when you feel unnecessary, forgotten, or even out of place in any context. But do not mistake withdrawal for failure. Even Jesus retreated into the wilderness for 40 days before beginning his public ministry. In that barren place, no one recognized him as the Son of God. No applause was heard, yet it was there that he confronted temptation and triumphed through the word of Scripture. This reveals a truth. Sometimes, the places least seen by others are where God deposits what is most sacred. And when I bring you back into the crowd, you will carry within you a depth that nothing can shake. Do not despise the days of hiddenness, for it is there that I am forging you into my instrument. I do not need you to ascend the platform quickly. I need you to rise with a soul that has been refined, so that when that day comes, you will not collapse under the weight of influence and responsibility. A crown only holds meaning when placed on the head of someone who has endured the refining fire. And you, my child, are in that process. You are not forgotten. You are being held close in the palm of the Creator, like a seed buried in the earth before it sprouts. Everything is alive and growing, even if your eyes cannot yet see it. Silence does not negate presence. Delay does not cancel promise. And waiting does not diminish love. This is the confidence you must hold on to. Right now, you may not realize it, but it is in these hidden seasons that your spiritual identity is most clearly defined. When all comfort is stripped away, when your reputation is no longer a shield, when external affirmations are absent, what remains? You, just you, and the one who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. It is in that place that God ceases to be merely someone you've heard about from others and becomes someone you've encountered personally. That is the intimacy no favorable circumstance can produce. Just as Jacob wrestled alone with the angel through the night, and when the dawn broke, he limped away with a new name, a new destiny, and a transformation no one could deny. When you pass through a silence known to no one, it is not drift and jit, is a purposeful journey. I do not operate in panic. I am not bound by time, and I will never let you float aimlessly. If I appear slow, it is because I am laying a foundation strong enough to carry the weight of the glory you are being prepared to bear. Perhaps you thought you were ready. Perhaps you have prayed, surrendered, and felt well equipped. But I see what you cannot. I am not only preparing a task for you to do, I am preparing you for that task. And that requires a process that cannot be rushed. This is not the season for comparison or judgment of others' progress. Every spiritual journey is unique. Some are revealed early, others kept hidden longer, but both hold equal value in my kingdom. The question is not how visible you are, but whether you are surrendered to the place where I have set you. Are you striving to escape necessary formation? Or are you allowing yourself to be shaped? Do not rush. What is born in haste dies in haste. But what is nurtured in due time endures and bears fruit in season. Let me determine the moment you are unveiled. Do not seek the spotlight before you can withstand its heat. It is in the secret place that I build the parts of you no one sees, so that when you do emerge, you carry a depth no title can grant. In this season, you will learn the value of inner stability. When the noise around you fades, you will hear the voice within more clearly, and there I will fine-tune you. You may discover unhealed wounds, impure motives, or misplaced desire. Do not fear facing them. I do not expose to shame, I expose to cleanse. Like a farmer turning over soil, digging up roots, and clearing stones so that the land may receive seed. I am tilling the soil of your heart to prepare it for the coming season. And what I uproot is not to hurt you, but to free you. There is nothing more precious than someone who has walked the hidden path with me. They do not merely speak words, they carry life in them. They do not need to prove themselves, for they carry an authority not given by men. It is the authority of endurance of knees bent in the secret place, of midnight groans heard only by heaven. And when such a one speaks, hell trembles, and heaven agrees, for they do not represent themselves, but the one who sent them. You are being shaped to be that kind of person, not merely anointed outwardly, but forged inwardly by fire. Do not let waiting make you doubt your worth. Time does not define you. God does. And if I say you are chosen, no misunderstanding or concealment can undo it. Keep walking in faithfulness. Hold your discipline. Keep learning, praying, and serving even when no one sees. For one day, just as Joseph was summoned from prison to interpret Pharaoh's dream, I will use a single moment to shift your entire destiny. But that moment will only come to one whose soul has been made ready. My child, when that time comes, you will emerge no longer the person you were. You will not need titles to affirm you, nor crowds to validate you, for you will have been touched in the deepest place where only God and you have walked, and there your name was changed, your lessons sealed, and your strength renewed. You will not carry the noise of the unformed, but the stillness of one who has seen, who has understood, who has believed, and from that place, you will step into your calling not with fanfare, but with humility and the authority of the one who trained you in the dark. There are moments in the spiritual journey when you will not only feel hidden, but exiled, led into unfamiliar territory, where every direction once known becomes blurred. It is no longer the still waiting, but a movement wrapped in uncertainty, like Abraham, called to leave his land and family for a destination unknown. You too may find yourself walking through strange doors, unmarked paths. I am not just calling you out of familiarity. I am drawing you into a land of total dependence. There, human understanding will no longer be your compass. Faith alone will light your way. In that land, the first thing tested will not be your ability to act, but your ability to surrender. When every sense of control is removed, when all your plans unravel before what I am doing, can you still obey without understanding? Can you walk without seeing? In Exodus, the Israelites were led by a cloud by day and fire by night. They were not told the route. Nog een explanations. They were called to do one thing: follow my presence. That same call is extended to you today. The issue is not the destination, but the capacity to journey with me. I am in no rush to take you to what I've promised because I care more about who you're becoming on the way. If you reach the promise too soon, unformed inside, the very gift could crush you. But if, through the journey, you are corrected, remade, and shaped in my presence, then when you arrive, you will not only take the promise but keep it. Moses didn't just lead Israel out of Egypt, learn to walk daily in dependence, in hunger, in complaint, in the silent wilderness night. It is during the shifting that you will begin to see clearly what is false and what is true. Many things that once felt stable will begin to shake beneath your feet. Some people you trusted may no longer walk with you. Structures you once leaned on may begin to collapse, and you may feel like you're losing everything. But it is in that place when all other supports fall that you will learn to lean entirely on the one who cannot be moved. I am not part of your foundation. I am the foundation. There may be nights when you break under the weight of confusion. You may plead to go back to the familiar, the predictable, the safe. But remember, comfort is not proof of my will, and hardship is not a sign you've strayed. Jonah, when choosing the wrong ship, found calm seas. But Paul, obeying the true call, faced storms. The question is not whether storms come, but who is in the boat with you. If I am the one leading, then even the rough road is the right road. Change will come in waves, sometimes gentle, sometimes fierce. But each wave is measured by my hand, the hand of wisdom. No transition in your life escape, my permission. I see every step, every turn, every pit, and in all of it, I am holding you not to confuse you, but to humble you, teach you to trust, and draw you closer. I may not give you the full map, but I give you something better, my presence. You will find something strange. The more you are uprooted, the more clearly you will see what is worth keeping. Things you once valued may lose their shine, but small moments, a whispered prayer, a merciful glance, a promise from my word will become treasures. For in the shaking, you are being stripped of the excess. Only what is essential will remain enough to nourish your soul and anchor your heart. My child, do not try to return to the old land, for not all that is familiar still fits. There are places I once used to feed you in one season that will become limiting in the next. If Elijah had stayed by the brook after I dried it up, he would have perished. But when he obeyed my voice and went to a distant town, a widow awaited him and a miracle. I will never leave you to die in the place I once used to feed you. When I call you to leave, it is because I've prepared something new, not just for survival, but for transformation. So if you now feel displaced, uprooted, pushed into a nameless spacito, not fear. This is not abandon, meant it is leading. Not forgetting it is transition, and not an end but the beginning of a new season, where you will no longer live by your strength, but by every word that proceeds from my mouth. Remember, not every silence is absence. There will be seasons when heaven feels like brass, when your prayers vanish into the void, when my voice seems lost in stillness. Yet in that silence, a spiritual construction is underway unseen to the eye, but eternal in the soul, like a seed buried in the dark, forgotten beneath the soil. Yet quietly breaking open, so too is your soul being transformed in the very time you thought you were forsaken. My silence is not apathy. It is an invitation to trust deeper. When my voice is loud, you may rest on the sound. But when it grows quiet, you will have only one place to cling, my faithfulness. In the dry season, your faith is not only preserved, it is stretched to grow. Faith does not thrive in ease. It deepens in the void, in the long nights with no answers, in the questions that go unreturned. And in those moments, you will learn to love me not for what I do, but for who I am. There is a story recorded in the Gospel of Matthew about a Canaanite woman when she came to Jesus, pleading with him to heal her daughter. The first thing she encountered was silence. He did not respond. Yet she did not walk away. She persisted in her pleading even when the disciples tried to send her away. Even when Jesus tested her faith with words that seemed harsh. In the end, she was praised for having great faith. But that faith did not come from immediate promises or miracles. It was forged in waiting, in silence, and in temporary rejection. And ultimately, it was that very perseverance that moved the heart of the Lord. Perhaps you feel like that woman now. You pray, but the heavens remain silent. You cry, but there is no reply. You plead, but the doors remain closed. But understand this, silence does not mean denial. It may be the highest test of your faith. Will you still love and trust when there is no immediate confirmation? Can you say, Lord, even if you don't answer, I still believe you are good? That is a kind of faith that is not based on outcomes, but rooted in the character of the one in whom you believe. In seasons of silence, I often build my greatest works. Joseph was forgotten in prison for years, no repeated promises, no signs of deliverance. But in that silence, I was preparing him to become the prime minister of an entire nation. Without warning, without announcement, the prison doors opened one day, and he was summoned before the king. All was arranged in silence. If I seem silent in your life right now, perhaps I am preparing a sudden elevation you could never have imagined. Do not measure your worth by how strongly you feel. My presence is not limited by your emotions. I am present even when you feel nothing. On the dark night when Jesus was crucified, in the most painful moment when even the word was silent, I was accomplishing the greatest work in human history. So do not fear the seasons when you hear nothing. Let faith become your new hearing, and let faithfulness be your steady heart. You are not abandoned. You are being held, not forgotten but refined. Every moment you remain faithful in silence is a love song echoing in heaven. Every act of obedience without applause. Every time you forgive without being noticed. Every whispered prayer in the night. These are proofs that you live not by what you see, but by faith. And that faith is more precious than gold refined by fire. Keep doing what is right, even when no one sees. Stay faithful in the little things, even when there is no reward. Keep praying, even when the feelings are absent. Keep worshiping, even when your heart feels empty. These are the foundations of the greater things to come. When the time is right, when the fog lifts, and my voice returns, you will realize that I never left you. I was preparing you for an entirely new dimension, the dimension of those who do not merely live by promises, but by the one who promised. So do not fear the silence. See it as my deepest voice, a voice not heard with ears, but resonating through your faith. It says, take heart. I am still moving. I am still here. My child. There are moments in the spiritual journey when everything around you seems to lose its support. Doors that were once wide open, suddenly close. Relationships that once felt warm grow distant. The voices that used to cheer you on fall silent. In such times, It's easy to think you've taken a wrong turn, or that I've changed my mind about you. But the truth is otherwise. Sometimes, I intentionally lead you into a wilderness, not to punish you, but to prepare you. The wilderness is where the noise of the world is stripped away, so your soul can hear my voice more clearly. Remember, Israel wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, not because I abandoned them, but because I was cleansing them from the remnants of a slave past. They left Egypt in one night, but it took a generation for Egypt to leave their hearts. And during that journey, I provided manna from heaven, water from the rock, and pillars of cloud and fire to guide them. I did not remove the hardship, but I was present in every step of it. I did not place them in the promised land instantly, but I ensured that when they entered it, they would do so with a deeper faith and full dependence on me. If you find yourself in a desert, a spiritually dry season, a time without clear signs, do not be quick to despair. See the wilderness as a place of training, where I teach you to listen, to walk, and to rely completely on me. There is nothing in the desert for your soul to depend on, no shade trees, no natural water, no landmarks to orient yourself. All that remains is me and my word, and that is what I desire that you live, not by what is seen, but by every word that proceeds from my mouth. The wilderness is also where I teach you spiritual discipline. In that place, all superficiality is stripped away. Habitual religious acts cannot survive the arid climate of trial. Lifeless prayers won't sustain your soul. Only genuine faith, real hunger, and a living relationship with me will carry you through. It is there that you will learn to hear with your spirit, not just your ears. You will learn to walk not because you see the path, but because you know who is leading. Do not fear when you lose control. That is part of breaking your dependency on self. Do not grieve when spiritual feelings no longer comfort you. For what you are building now is an unshakable foundation, a faith that doesn't need to feel in order to believe, doesn't need to see in order to walk, doesn't need to understand in order to obey. This is the kind of faith that shakes spiritual kingdoms, moves heaven, and terrifies hell. It was in such wilderness.